It's Halloween. It's a Friday. The weekend is stretched out in front of us, and we've got the West Coast weather to talk about. And you can see where the weather is not so great right now. This is the infrared satellite image. This is enhanced, so it just shows more of kind of the higher cloud tops. The reds representing the coolest, the highest cloud tops, or the coolest, lowest temperatures, but just wet and very active in the Pacific Northwest. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Halloween. That forecast is a tough one for meteorologists, especially if you're up in Portland right now or you're in Seattle. You're like, because I'm telling you, you can let down grown-ups and be wrong with the forecast, but when you let down kids, you never hear the end of it. So a busted Halloween forecast, it's rough. So today's temperatures are going to be kind of on the mild side, mid-70s, and then a gradual cool down for most of the rest of us. Again, here is the satellite. Here is where the area that we're watching most closely up in the Pacific Northwest. We'll get to that. We'll come down to California's latitude, and we'll see the fog along the coast. There was a lot of fog. Not seeing any dense fog advisories. It feels like they're real close, but we have coastal fog. And then sort of what's happening is that valley fog is showing up as well. In the inland bay valleys, or it's converting, right? The advection fog gets in those inland bay areas and then it cools off. So Southern California, you are pretty dry, right? You've got conditions that are dry from the sky, obviously, and then you have no fog along the coast. Beautiful day there. And then up around Santa Barbara, a little bit of patchy fog just off the islands right now. And then fog from Santa Barbara all the way up into Point Reyes. And then a little bit of a break, and then you get into a little more fog up around Point Arena, and there is Cape Mendocino. So we are going to see a deterioration in weather as we go through the next few days, but it doesn't really result in much. When I say deterioration, just the low pressure gets closer to us, and temperatures kind of come down. It's been a real nice run of weather, really good run of weather. We can take a look at the live cameras. Let me see if I can grab this here. I hope you're having a good morning so far. Fridays are awesome. Even when you're retired, Fridays are like, yeah, it's Friday, man. I don't know what that is. I don't know. I guess it's bred into us. Here is, let's see if I can pop this in. This is Mount Tamalpais. This is this morning, sun coming up. Look, you can see the fog, the two different fogs merging to some extent. That fog going the wrong way, right? Going left to right. That's cooler air coming out of the valley, flowing out towards the coast. Originally, though, I don't know if I can make this call. Jen, no, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. But I see how some of this, see how the advection fog is pushing in. See where they meet, and when it gets cold enough in the morning, the valley fog starts to push everybody offshore. I kind of like that. Let's do that again. I'm not sure, Jen. Seriously, check in on me. Jen Knoll's an old friend of mine from National Weather Service claim to fame, and teacher at San Francisco State, professor. I don't know if he's a professor, he's a junk professor, but that almost looks like the two areas merging. Anyway, yeah, that's why I like this camera. You can see the inversion is relatively deep, clear skies overhead. Today, Mount Tamalpais is going to go 73 degrees. Where else is there fog this morning? Kind of out by Truckee, kind of looking towards the east, kind of south and east route towards one of the reservoirs. I think that might be Prosser, but you see a little bit of fog, and you see a little fog out in the valley as well, and it's a cold fog. It's a cold fog. What do I got for Truckee? Truckee this morning is in the 20s, 27, 28 degrees. You can see a little bit of fog here, but not as much fog as has been showing up. And then we've got a shot of more fog down in Santa Barbara. Is that Santa Barbara? Yeah, that's Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara today goes 68 degrees. Yeah, that's going to be a cool one. And then, sun comes out up to 67 degrees would be nice. So here's the story. Pacific Northwest. This is the National Weather Service out of Tacoma. And they've got a hydrologic, and they're basically talking about the chances of rain. And they're expecting some potential low-grade flooding, not major river stuff, but it's a little bit of street flooding as these rains start to move in to the Port Angeles area as we go into tonight and this afternoon. And then along the coast, you've got the high surf advisory. That high surf advisory diminishes when you get to the latitude of San Francisco, and it turns into a high surf watch, or no, what do they call it? They call it it's not a surf advisory. It's a surf beach hazard statement, which is kind of low grade stuff, but they're basically saying, yeah, the surf's kind of big. Small craft advisory offshore, and then you've got this area, just this little bit, just saying, hey, listen, it's going to rain next week. Somewhere between Tuesday and Friday, we may see an inch of rain, which I think is very, very possible. And then we go to Los Angeles, and you do see a little bit of that high surf advisory from Lompoc up to Big Sur. And then you see a little bit of wind offshore with small craft advisories. What's really that small? Let's see what that marine statement is. That might be for some sneaker waves or something. Marine weather statement. I was looking at the brown area. There's a dense fog. Okay, so they're getting dense fog down on the coastal sections. We did see a little bit of that. This is the forecast highs, or these are the forecast highs for today, or the highs for today, if you want to do that. It's nice, really nice. This fall, and then you'll see what happens tomorrow. Temperatures are going to drop off a few degrees. Let's see what else I got for you. That's about it for this page. The next page shows a little bit of cooling. Right, or did it show cooling or warming? There's a little bit of cooling. Depends where you are. A couple of areas, let's say. I can't tell. Okay, well, so yeah, it's a little bit cooler. And that's tomorrow, so that's your Saturday. So we've got a nice weekend planned. Temperatures are going to drop down a little bit. Before we look closely at the daytime high fluctuation between today and tomorrow and the next few days, we're going to go up to the Pacific Northwest for you kids. I know a lot of the kids watching this broadcast. My demo, I'd be shocked. I'd look at the demo on this thing. It's hilarious because on YouTube it's awesome. Because I can basically find you guys' house. I swear, it's like they break the metrics. They break it down to are like ridiculous. But it's like my average age. You guys were like. It's not. I always think I'm a kid, and I'm looking at the demo. I think I should look it up, but I think last time I looked, it was like 45 to like 75. I don't even know how you guys know how to work a computer, man. I'm kidding. I know you know how to work a computer, but there was a time, right? In television, it's funny. We wrote off the old folks because we figured the demo for the old folk. The demos we really went after were. This is back in the 2000s, 10 years ago. The demos we went after were 30, I think it was 35-year-old men, not women, 35-year-old to 55. That was, because we deemed that, probably true too, that was the age where you were buying things. And we never looked at women. We never looked at kids, we never looked at old people. We only looked at that age, young men, or middle-aged men or whatever, but that was the demo that you wanted because that was a demo that bought Chryslers. So here is the HRRR. This is at this morning. So Port Angeles getting a little bit wet this morning around 10 o'clock. Let's get to Halloween trick-or-treat time. It's right there. So I don't know what you guys do with that. I am so sorry for you kids. Even up towards the Columbia River, it's gonna be a little bit wet tonight, you guys. Is it a big storm? It's gonna be wet. It's gonna be wet. Maybe do like an indoor Halloween thing, and then it just sort of stays wet up there. So that's the HRRR. That's our most rapid update model. This is. Let me see if I can bring this back. So this is our GFS. Get some coffee. I'm sure I'll titter about Halloween. I know I talked about not dressing up, but I sort of, kind of excited because we have a lot of kids at the door. And so it's kind of fun to see what they all dress like. And the neighbor kids, you know how they do that move where we'll get to the GFS, how they graduate from like street to street. Like our street is like the little kids street. It's awesome. Like literally, it's like you're balling if you're 5 to 8. And then once you hit 9 or 10, you go up to the other street, which has got bigger candy. And then once you hit like 12 or 13, which you're right on the edge, you go to another place, which is kind of the Ritchie community, which is like just all bets are off. And it's funny. So anyway, we have the awesomest street because we have the sweetest kids. So anyway, so this is the system we're tracking in the Pacific Northwest for right now. Let's bring it up to, let's see how the model initiates. This is what it looks like this morning. So it looks like model initiated pretty good. And then the ridge over us being most of the West Coast. This is interesting, isn't it, right there? That's on Sunday morning. Certainly fog enhancing, a little cooler. But you see the ridge flattening out. I guess the only thing I have to show you is when this system goes through, this guy, the one that's bringing the rain to the kids tonight, see how it flattens the ridge out? It's a real subtle. It just flattens it out. It makes it hard, number one, for the ridge to move, but it also makes it easier for it to start to break down. And then you get a dig, and you get this trough digging, and then this amplifying, right? See it? And then that is on November 3rd. And then that sets the table for this guy. So this is Wednesday afternoon, November 6th. That's our best chance for rain. And that looks pretty good. That looks extratropical. So when I say, sorry, it's going to be kind of a nice weekend around here, around most of the West Coast. Pacific Northwest, you get this, right? I'll actually go all the way back. You get this flattened ridge, which is continuing rain, and that's why they had the flood watch up there, because you see the area being touched. So let's come in a little closer. Look at the water vapor loop, see if there's moisture available. That is, yes, an AR by definition, but not really by definition, because it progresses. Well, it is. In the old days, I keep getting off on this AR thing. Not in the old days. So when this all first started, the AR definition, as I understood it, was straight line, meridional flow, and just kind of a fire hose doing this, right? And then it got expanded, which it probably likely so, to, well, this moisture plume, this moisture tap all the way to the subtropical. That became, okay, that's an atmospheric river. Well, the difference is, though, between this, obviously, that's 1982, which is when the first atmospheric river that I can remember, the El Nino year, was just storm after storm after storm on a rope, right? This is definitely a rope, but it's going to move down the coast. It doesn't stay put. So when I started out in this biz, atmospheric river to me was more of my assumption had always been it was like this. Now we're just calling anything that's tapped to the subtropics, right? And what almost like this isn't really tapped to the subtropics up here. So we're just looking for subtropical moisture. And you can kind of see the struggle, right? There's a big one right there, right? So the whole week or so, there's moisture in our area. So how does this play out from Oregon south? There is scattered showers on Saturday morning up there. This is Sunday morning. Windy, breezy up north. This is Tuesday morning. This is Wednesday or Tuesday afternoon. And then you see the front coming, right? That's actually a cool illustration. So we just had subtle tweaks going through. That was when that ridge was flattening out, right? If you can remember that far back at the GFS, which, by the way, I didn't do a great job on, or the water vapor loop, but I'm just sort of want to get the information to you. When I say great job, I don't feel like I really wanted to connect visually what's happening, and it's hard to do with this pattern for me. Okay, so here is the moisture. This is the rain potential. Let's say this is Tuesday or afternoon, or Tuesday, or Monday afternoon, right? Is it Monday afternoon? Yeah, or Tuesday afternoon, pardon me. So Tuesday afternoon, and I'm looking up here, right? That's the time bar. But you see these black lines? Those are the isobars. And you're like, okay, and these are the thickness lines. Well, what you're seeing is the frontal system, the main system that could bring an inch of rain next week. See it getting wound up? Pressure gradient, the lows here, it's a tighter pressure gradient. The highs here, the lows back here, and it gets wound up. And then the thicknesses get pulled into it, and there's actually an advection of kind of mild or warmer air because of the southerly wind, right? And then this is the system. That is Wednesday morning, next Wednesday morning, November 5th. That's pretty good. I like that. I like that you can see. Look at that. That's wind. Like that's going to get you a gale warning. That's going to get us maybe wind advisories too. That's really, because they're so tightly packed. And so that thing comes in with a bang. That's Tuesday night into Wednesday. Okay. All right. And then some more stuff behind it, but we know better than to rest too much on that. So this is a big picture that says that's the main parent low here. Most of the energy is going to the north. Atmospheric river is drum. I said it, that this is drying up again. It's pulling away from that moisture plume. And we saw that in the precipitable water. Yeah. All right. Well, we got that figured out. Okay. And then this is the national map. So what do they got going up here? Wind? It looks like wind. Trick or treat forecast. Wind advisory. High wind watch up in up near Yellowstone. Up near Boulder. Huh. High wind. What are they saying? Let's see what they're doing up there. I like the Weather Service. Weather Service has been getting jiggy with forecast stuff, because with the internet in the old days, the Weather Service was like talking to the military. I sort of missed that, because it was just boom, just the facts, ma'am. But now the Weather Service, man, we got to compete with all this stuff, all this click stuff. So this is them doing a little graphic with a cute little dog, which I find it funny. I think it's okay for the dogs to dress up and the kitty to be in the pumpkin. And he's just going, okay, here's the day forecast for Friday. So if you're in Bozeman, Montana, at 5 o'clock, the start of your trick-or-treat, it's 48 degrees. Huh. I love they went till 10, because that's all the bad kids are out of 10. So that's what that is. That's a wind advisory. So it's going to be windy. Sometimes when I think wind, I think of Halloween decorations, right? Or Christmas decorations, too, this time of year. This is above average temperature for the next 6 to 10 days. That starts from November 5th and 9th. Above average. I don't know what the hell we were looking at. I'm trying to think. Does it show that? Let's see. Okay, so that's the kind of mood I'm in today. I don't. 6 to 10. No, so nothing really jumps out at me and goes, oh, that's above average. But that's what they're saying, above average. And then above average rainfall, which makes sense. And that shows more of an extratropical slant coming from the Pacific North, or coming from the Northwest, or from the Aleutians. So that's the forecast. What's going to happen? It's going to be awesome Halloween. Be safe driving around out there. Temperatures tonight will be in the 50s. Temperatures the next few days, right through the weekend, even though there'll be a few clouds, are going to be generally in the central, southern California, Central Valley areas, 60s and low 70s, mid 70s. I think Bakersfield today goes 78. Sacramento today goes 78. Tomorrow they'll go down to 75 degrees. Santa Barbara 68. Redding still 80 degrees. Ambitious. And then the earthquakes. These are all the latest earthquakes in the last day, above a 5 or upper 4. And these little white circles, the white circle is, the red is the most recent, that there was something here recently. It doesn't mean like in the last day, just gives you an idea of where the activity has been. And then these cubes represent, in the last 24 hours, quakes above 5.0. And then we'll come to this guy here. I didn't want that, I wanted this. I got all, oops, there we go. Here is all the earthquakes that have microquakes, the whole bit, that have occurred. And it's, again, most earthquakes, this is the Ring of Fire. It rotates this way, kind of goes this way. It's more the Pacific plate, right, where it bumps into the North American plate and the Juan de Fuca plate. And that's the triple point. But this main Pacific plate moves about 2 inches a year. And so it creates lots, and you can kind of see it. See, they outline it for you in red. These are subduction zones for the most part, which are your most dangerous earthquakes. And you've probably been reading a lot about this area here, the triple point. And you see these are quakes in the last hour. And this area here is incredibly volatile. This whole zone right here from, well, let me back up, all this whole plate, that's a subduction zone. And that's where the subduct, right? So the Pacific plate is heavier than the North American plate, so it goes under. But when it goes under, it pushes the North American plate back, subducting, creates deep water trench. But when this goes, this North American plate, boom, throws like that. I mean, it's explosive. And so that's why there have been big quakes up there, but not for, I think, a couple hundred years since that subduction zone went. And it's supposed to go pretty soon again, and it'll be, it's tsunami kind of stuff. It's a very dangerous quake, but we live, and that's why I do this, because we live in a very dangerous earthquake. I mean, dangerous, very active earthquake zone, and so that we now have learned how to build. We've learned where to build. I was driving on the Bay Bridge the other night, yesterday, or a couple days ago, coming home from surfing, and I was looking at it going, because I remember the 89 quake, I remember it well. I remember the Bay Bridge. Could see the Bay Bridge from where I was working. And the people running off the decks of the Bay Bridge. People, think about it. When that happened, everybody just got out of their cars. It seemed like everybody got out of their cars. So the bridge, it wasn't packed because of the World Series, Oakland versus the Giants, which was ironic, and it was right at the start of the game. So, but it wasn't bumper to bumper like it always is, but it was busy, and people just left their cars and ran off the bridge and ran into the city. But we've changed the way we do things, and we've changed the way we do things because most earthquakes happen in this zone. Most earthquakes, most big earthquakes, 70% of the world's earthquakes happen here. I think it's 90% or 95% of the world, you guys will correct me, of the world's most powerful earthquakes occur here. So it's it's just where we live. We also live in a place where the Aleutian Islands produce a lot of swell, and we're going to see the swell really pick up the next couple of days. And you can see, when I look at that, I just go, you see the hot spots. Look at that. This is on Wednesday. Yeah, the swell does come up pretty big on Wednesday. So we'll start seeing pictures. I saw some guys out at Mavericks the other day. Kind of windy. I think they were towing in, which means you pull you can't paddle in because it's so bumpy. But this is a very active Aleutian Island. That's the forecast model, and this is Ocean Beach today. A couple of hardy souls out on a Friday. It's kind of a weird day. The tide's going low. See how it's all lumpy? That's from that outside wind. There's not much of a wave, and there's not much of a sandbar. The tide's a little beefy, a little high. So this is the sandbar here. You can see it. And then you see the channel out here. That would be a bit of a rip coming back out. But I don't know what kind of waves they're going to catch today. I'm not going. I literally go when it looks like this. I have to move to San Diego. I'm going to have to move. I'm not, but this is San Onofre. And this is kind of, in my mind, this is where surfing didn't begin. But the surf culture. We talked to the other day. I did a video on surfing in California. We did the weather. I don't know how effectively. I think we did it pretty effectively, at best. But just you can have a good weekend. It's going to rain in the Pacific Northwest, and just take a sweater with you because it's going to get a little chillier here as we go towards Saturday into Sunday. Not chillier, but just not as warm in the evening hours. But when we're talking about surf culture, this is a reef right here. That's river rock, or I think that's just straight reef rock. But it creates an environment where the wave kind of takes off in the same place every time, and you're not struggling to find the channels. And so everybody sits and communicates. And so San Onofre, if you Google it, I mean, they were known for their surf clubs, for their surf culture. And then fast forward San Francisco, and in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, when I was around, we didn't see each other. We didn't talk. These areas south of Point Conception, Malibu was another one. The weather was right. You wanted to hang out at the beach. It was warm and sunny. It was fun. The water was warm. The waves were clean. Look at these waves. Like, you could surf those waves, right, Robert? You could surf those waves even after the stroke. You could surf those, but you go north, and nobody wants anything to do with this, right? I mean, it's not gnarly, but it's an effort. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was profound. I thought connecting surf culture to which I guess has probably been done a million times, quite frankly. I never had done it. I never realized that, that's why. And Santa Cruz has a surf culture more than San Francisco, but much less than San Onofre, right? It's kind of, as you work your way into the warmer, more social, let's sit in the parking lot and chat in our bathing suits. Maybe we'll have a Pepsi, maybe, right? I think that's what the cultures were built around. And San Onofre, this place, has probably one of the strongest histories. I think this is, I don't know if this is Old Man's, I don't know all the names down there, but this is kind of just down by south of Trussell's, which is Lower Trussell's where they're going to have the Olympics this year. But this is, Old Man's, I think, is in the corner a little more. It's more predictable. But see how the wave peels off the reef and keeps coming. So, and it's just, there's a culture down there. And if I could see the parking lot right now, you would see in the parking lot a lot of vans with umbrellas and sandwiches and ice chests. You don't see that at the beach, man. You really don't. I can remember, well, I won't get into it. I was going to say, I remember we used to see, every once in a while you'd see a girl at Ocean Beach and we'd be like, and we were just, because you just didn't see, this was as a young man, but you just didn't see the stuff out there, except maybe like, it was pretty tough. It was pretty tough. Like a lot of pit bulls, it was kind of, it was that way, but not San Onofre. Okay, so Mount Shasta, beautiful. It's on my screen, I think. Yeah. I thought I saw a paraglider, but it's my screen's dirty. This is Mount Shasta. It's a beautiful day. A little bit of fog in the valley this morning. Mount Shasta today, I guess you're going to go, I had you in here. You're going to go 69 degrees today up at the Mount Shasta community. And then here is Whitney. Whitney is pretty static, right? And just in terms, because there's not a lot of vegetation. And then I got a treat for you today. This is Yosemite Falls, which I wrote down some nuggets. Live camera. Thank you, Yosemite. And I should give them credit for what they're doing here. Yosemite Conservancy. Thank you, you guys. That's an awesome picture, is it not? Put it in there. It's the tallest falls in the United States, in North America. It's the tallest waterfall in North America. Yeah. And it was named, I'm not stoked about this guy, Lafayette Bunel named it, but he was a part of the Mariposa Battalion, this is that Native American history thing that I talk about all the time, that it's not pretty. The battalions it was just ill-advised, ill-coordinated. It was basically rounding up Native Americans and putting them in reservations and whatever, and worse than that. And so he named it. So Yosemite Falls shouldn't bear the brunt of that. But it's so funny, right? So that beauty, and then that story. And that's the one thing about California it's hard to resolve. And I don't know how to, truthfully. I'm embarrassed by it. I think we all are, and then, fast forward to Venice Beach, where the temperature today is going to be 73 degrees, a little cooler, a little bit of fog out there. Zoom in on people moving around. I'm going to go down there one of these days. I haven't been to Venice. I got a note from one of you guys saying that, Venice Beach used to be a whole, because the beach towns back in the day, Venice was a whole. It just was. And then for it to become what it is now, Santa Cruz, you guys, Pleasure Point, we used to call that the ghetto, right? That was a rum running. That's where the rum runners used to bring the booze in during Prohibition. And they'd truck it up to San Jose and then truck it up to San Francisco. And now, of course, Pleasure Point and East Cliff and all those areas are just beautiful, beautiful areas and very high end. Okay, I'll see you back here Saturday, Friday. I'll see you back here maybe tomorrow. Okay, see you back here.